Thank you so much for having me on the show. Yes, it's incredibly overwhelming. Just the thought of it, but even the sight of it, I had to go see it to believe it. When the catastrophe started, well, really the monsoon started in June and they just didn't stop. So by early August, I was getting calls from southern Punjab and Balochistan from people who were just desperate and they needed help. And I wasn't quite sure how to provide that help. And then calls came from my own house, our own ancestral home, our own ancestral village in Larkana. So, of course, I went. It was still raining, and the roads were completely flooded. There was water just pouring in. And the thing with the floods is that there's not only water coming from the river, there's also water coming from above you. There's also water coming from the mountains. So there's all these pressure points of water just building and building and building and building. And within my village itself, we had to wade through 3 or 4 kilometers of water that was up to our waist in order to reach the first dry piece of land.
Zulfiqar, could you describe what the conditions are now? I mean, there are not only concerns about, obviously, the fact that so many people's lives have been devastated, homes destroyed, people forced to flee, but also now there's so much water that's just standing that there are concerns about the spread of diseases like malaria and dengue.
Malaria and dengue, there is already what I think we can call an epidemic. Many people are getting sick from malaria and dengue. As you maybe know, dengue has no cure. You simply have to weather it out. Malaria does have a cure, but there is also no supply locally of malaria medicine. So we've had to go and set up medical camps to deliver malaria medicine to people, to deliver chlorine tablets because the water is so putrid and polluted. One of the immediate effects of the flood was, in fact, gastroenteritis. That was probably within the first few days. Fungal diseases were in the first few days as well. Children, malnourished children are not able to heal and recover quickly from skin diseases, and that was something we noticed as well, is that not only were there waterborne diseases happening and sewage was mixing with drinking water, but there were already preconditions such as malnourishment present within our society that was actually preventing a lot of these children from naturally healing.
Zulfiqar, according to the Climate Change Risk Index last year, Pakistan ranked 8th among countries most vulnerable to the climate crisis, despite contributing less than 1% to global carbon emissions. Can you talk about the issue of climate reparations and the connection of what's happening to the climate catastrophe around the world?
Yes, thank you for asking that. One, I think it's infuriating, of course, just to know that fact, just to know that figure as a Pakistani living in Pakistan and seeing this catastrophe unfold and how overwhelming it is. Now, the idea of reparations, of course, the most reparative measure would be to cancel Pakistan's debt. Pakistan owes a huge debt to the IMF and World Bank, as well as various other countries who have funded huge mega projects such as dams and barrages that have actually exacerbated the situation and stop the river's natural flow and stop the natural flow of the mountains. They have also funded highways and bridges that have done the exact same thing. 50 dams, more than 50 dams have actually broken during these floods, resulting in even more catastrophe. And we owe these people debt. Now, in terms of reparations beyond that, we have to think about, is the Pakistani government accountable? Can the Pakistani government be held accountable? Where will these reparations go? Will they go into the hands of the 30+ million people who have been displaced, or will they simply go back into the system that exacerbated this situation? There's been some talk of debt swap, that the IMF should fund infrastructural projects just to help the country. But the IMF's infrastructural projects have been historically, both within Pakistan and outside of Pakistan, their projects have been anti-poor, anti-nature, anti-indigenous, and anti-people. So I wonder if they've had a change of heart. And if they have, maybe that is a solution to this climate reparations discussion.